Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we are cracking the code on a number that, let's be honest, defines a huge part of our lives, our salary. It might seem like this big mystery, but there's actually a surprisingly logical system behind it. So let's pull back the curtain. Have you ever found yourself staring at your pay stub, just kind of wondering, where did they even get this number? Did they just pull it out of a hat? Well, it can definitely feel that way, but I'm here to tell you there is a whole science behind it. Today, we're going to show you exactly how these market competitive pay systems are built, right from the ground up. For any company, setting salaries is a lot like walking a tightrope. Seriously, if you lean just a little too far in one direction, you're going to fall. It's this incredibly important balancing act that has massive consequences for their success. And this slide right here, it just perfectly captures that dilemma. I mean, think about it. If they pay too little, they're just going to watch their best and brightest people walk right out the door to a competitor. But on the other hand, if they pay too much, they could seriously hurt their own financial health, maybe even sink the ship. It is a constant tension between getting the best people and, staying in business. So how in the world do they navigate this tightrope? Well, they build something called a market competitive pay system. The best way to think about it is like a strategic playbook for all things compensation. It's not just about picking random numbers. It's a really deliberate plan designed to attract and keep the right people, all while making sure the company's bigger goals are being met. So this playbook, it doesn't just appear out of thin air. Compensation pros follow a really structured process that's built on 4 key activities. Let's get into what they are. And here they are, the 4 big building blocks. First up, they do a deep dive, analyzing the business strategy and what's happening in the market. Second, they basically become detectives, gathering all this data on what competitors are paying. Third, they connect all that external info to their own jobs inside the company. And finally, they decide on the official company pay policy. Now, that first step, the strategic analysis, is absolutely crucial. It's kind of like they're using a telescope to look way out at the industry and their competitors, and at the same time, using a magnifying glass to look inward at their own financial health and what they're capable of. A company just can't decide what to pay until it knows exactly who it is and where it fits in the market. Okay, so once a company has a handle on its own position, it needs data. Lots of hard data. And that means diving headfirst into the world of compensation surveys. This is where we see how raw numbers get turned into real strategic decisions. This is pretty much where it all begins. Companies gather just mountains of raw data, stuff that looks like this, listing salaries for all kinds of jobs at different competitors. And honestly, it's a mess, right? On its own, it's not very helpful. The real magic is in making sense of it all. And this is how that messy data starts to make sense. By plotting it all out, like in this chart for accountants' salaries, a really clear picture starts to emerge. You can see it right away, can't you? You can see exactly where the salaries are clustering. In this case, most accountants are making somewhere between $35,000 and $40,000. The whole point of doing this analysis is to find what the stats folks call the central tendency. Now that sounds super technical, I know, but it's really just a fancy way of saying they're looking for the typical or the middle value. This number becomes the benchmark, the market rate that everything else is going to be compared against. So, knowing the market rate is one thing, but deciding what to do with that information, that's where the real strategy kicks in. This brings us to that 4th building block, setting those compensation policies. Companies have to make a huge choice. Are they going to lead the market, lag behind it, or just match it? And this quote right here, it really gets to the heart of it. A pay policy isn't just some HR rule tucked away in a handbook. It is a strategic choice designed to give the company a competitive edge. The final number they land on is a direct reflection of their business goals. So first up is the market lead policy. This is for companies that want to be the absolute best and attract the absolute best. They make a conscious choice to pay above the market average. Think about a cutting-edge tech company trying to build the first self-driving car. They need the most brilliant engineers on the planet, and they're willing to pay a premium to get them. Then, on the complete flip side, you have the market lag policy. These companies intentionally decide to pay less than the market average. Now, this isn't a sign they're failing, it's a strategy. It actually aligns perfectly with businesses that compete by being the lowest cost option for customers because it helps them keep their expenses super tight. And then we have the most common approach of all, the market match policy. These companies just aim to pay right at the market average. It's a safe, pretty neutral strategy. They aren't trying to blow everyone away with their pay, they're simply trying to stay competitive. So, here's the bottom line.
This table right here is basically the cheat sheet for this whole concept. A company's pay policy is a direct reflection of its business strategy. Are you an innovator trying to change the world? You lead. Are you trying to be the most affordable option? You lag. Are you just trying to stay stable and keep up? You match. It's really that clear.
But hold on, we're not done yet. The salary level is just one piece of the puzzle. The next big strategic choice is figuring out the right mix of rewards. The pay mix is really the specific recipe of base salary, benefits, and other incentives that make up an employee's total compensation package. It's not just about how much you pay, it's about how you pay it. Check out this chart. It shows what a typical pay mix might look like. And as you can see, the base wage is the biggest slice of the pie, for sure. But look at that, benefits and incentives make up a massive chunk, over 40% in this example. Companies design this mix so carefully to encourage the right kinds of behaviors. For instance, a sales-heavy company might offer a smaller base wage, but a much bigger slice for incentives because they want to directly reward top performers. So if there's one thing to walk away with today, it's this. Compensation is not an accident. It is a series of very deliberate, interconnected choices. From analyzing the market to choosing a pay level and crafting the perfect mix, every single step is designed to support the company's overall strategy. And that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. Based on everything we've just talked about, what pay strategy do you think your own company uses? Are they leading, lagging, or matching the market? And maybe more importantly, why? The answer to that question can tell you an awful lot about the business you work for.